Hey everyone, my name's Jacob. We're going to do a tie rod on a Hyundai Veloster today. Let's jump into it. Hey YouTube, so if you grab your wheel and you try to put pressure side to side, see that play right there? On this particular one, it's an outer tie rod. Now if you go like this and you have play, it's typically a ball joint, but you should always confirm that. We're going to jump under the vehicle and I'm going to show you what to look for. Alright guys, take a look at this joint right here. I'm going to go out there and move the tire and check that play out. So this is the outer tie rod. Your outer tie rod here is connected to your inner tie rod right here. If you're grabbing your wheel and still feeling play, but you don't see any movement right here, see if this rod right here is moving back and forth, okay? Because that's your inner tie rod that's then worn. Now, if you can grab your tire top to bottom and move it, you can grab this by hand here and pull up and down with it. If there's any play in this joint, then that's your lower ball joint you need to replace. So for our instance, you've seen the tie rod here is moving. Oh, I can't do it by hand here, but you've seen this was moving. So we're gonna replace this quick, shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, so here's the plan, guys. We're gonna clean this up right here with a wire wheel. We're gonna put some lube, penetrating oil, and start freeing this up. We're gonna make some indications here so we know where everything is. And we're gonna loosen this, just crack it loose so everything's loose before we remove right here. Sorry guys, before we remove the tie rod. Now, some mechanics will cheat this and not remove the caliper. Okay, so don't get in on the comments on me and be like, you can do this without removing the caliper. Yes, you can, but for the sake of this video and for you guys not screwing anything up and being able to torque it, we're gonna remove the caliper. So what we have to do, remove this so the flex line's free. Remove that caliper bracket bolt and remove that caliper bracket bolt. We don't need to mess with these little ones. We can remove the whole caliper bracket as an assembly. So we have 12 mil up here. We have a 17 mil here and here. You can do these by hand for the sake of making this fast for the video. I am using air tools. Remove the whole thing here, and I'm just going to hang it with the rubber out of the way somewhere. Try to get on the other side of this assembly so we can work. Throw some lube on that. Let that sit for a bit really, but I don't have time. Let's just see how she comes out. So the reason I have everything all connected still is it's gonna kind of prevent it from spinning on me, at least enough to crack it. So now at this point, it's free. This nut is free from jamming up the outer tie rod, but I don't want to start spinning anything off yet. My hope is going to be to spin the tie rod away from this nut and keep our measurements the same. You can see here I've hung the caliper on the left side of my strut. I don't want to just hang it off the brake line. You don't want to have these under tension. What we're going to do is get this cotter pin out of the way. You give these threads a quick clean so this bolt comes out easier. This nut, sorry. We'll remove this nut and then I'll show you how to take this off. Okay, now we have to remove this joint. There's two ways to do this, really. There's one, you're gonna use a pickle fork. It goes in there. Since we're replacing this joint, of course we can destroy it with a pickle fork. If we were removing this tie rod for any other reason and we had to reuse this, we wouldn't use a pickle fork because it will cut the boot open. And then that gives a area for dirt to get inside this boot and really destroy this joint. And the other way to do this, which is the easy way, is you're just going to take a sledgehammer and you just need to hit it. You take a sledgehammer and you just hit right there, this joint should free up. So that's the way we'll do it. Not everybody has a pickle fork, but everybody's got a big hammer. So you just want to hit it right here, nice and hard. Well, we lost our light. My magnet sucks. That's okay. See that? It just popped out. So I just kind of shocked it right here, and this popped out. See right here, there's notches inside the center tie rod to hold it. So I have a 15 mil wrench right there. And now we're just going to turn the outer tie rod counterclockwise with a 22 mil wrench until it backs off. It's going to be a little stiff. To get started, you can put lube in there if you want. Remember to count the revolutions. One. Two. Three. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 15 revolutions for me to get that off. Keep track of that number. Now while I'm here and I have the camera still in this position, I'm going to clean that inner tie rod. I'm going to clean this area right here. And we will add a little bit of Never Seized to it. We'll add a little bit of Never Seized to the threads. Not a ton, just a little bit. That's good enough. It'll work its way in there as it goes on. So what we need to do is make sure we have the right tie rod, because the other side has the opposite bend in it. First of all, 8 and 3/4 to the center. 8 and 3/4 to the center. These nuts are called castle nuts. Okay, it looks like a little castle. It's to allow provisions for a cotter pin to go through here. Absolutely critical. We do not forget to put our cotter pin in. Okay. My new tie rod comes with a little care package, and it comes with a Zerk fitting to grease and our new cotter pin. Now the Zerk fitting goes in the back and screws in. You don't even need to put this in until it's on the vehicle if you don't want to, or you can do it now, but easier to put it on once this is installed. So let's go wind this baby in. Now I had 15 turns before. Yeah, everything lined right back up. I even have my jam nut here bottomed out where it has to be. So technically, you're supposed to send a vehicle for an alignment after you do a tie rod like this. With how much play was in this, I'm confident his tires are going to be even straighter than it was back to where it was when it had its original alignment, as long as the alignment was done with the tie rods in this way. Still recommend going for an alignment. I mean, you'll save your tires, and it's another $150, but now I'm going to go ahead and slap this up into here. We're not gonna forget to tighten this jam nut, but it's easier to do after I get this all settled. So we're gonna tighten this down. Still 17. 25 foot-pounds. Okay, so it's 25 foot-pounds, and you have to line up this pin, okay, for the cotter pin to go through into the castle nut. If you've torqued yours and you're not lined up, turn it until it gets to the next one. Don't back it off to put it in. Turn it till it gets to the next slot to allow the cotter pin to go through. Also a trick, if you're trying to tighten this nut and the whole joint is spinning, this is a tapered joint, okay? Put pressure underneath here. So put wood and jack it up and put pressure going up, and it'll lock this. It'll lock the taper into the knuckle and it'll stop spinning the stud. Now let's bend this up. I'm gonna get pliers and do this, but this is what we're doing. Okay, and then it's also 25 foot-pounds on this jam nut. So we're gonna hold the tie rod still while we lock the jam nut, 25 foot-pounds. All right. Click, click. All right, there she is. So these washers with a slit in them, you showing up? Yeah, so these washers that have a slit on them for the caliper to the knuckle, those are lock washers. So you don't need to add Loctite on this. These threads are pretty clean. I'm gonna put this back together. You can clean your threads if they ain't so pretty. Now make sure when this goes back together that you haven't oh shoot, I'll lose my pads. That you haven't put a kink into your brake line, right? By forcing it like a revolution in the opposite direction. Make sure your pads are still seated in your caliper bracket. Make sure you don't leave your, whatever you're using to hold the caliper up in there. Get that out of there. So, the torque for these caliper bracket to knuckle bolts is 58 to 72 foot-pounds. Pretty wide range. Let's throw some anti-seize on this little bolt that holds the brake flex lines together. Add that up. Now the last thing to do is we're going to put that Zerk fitting in and we're going to grease this joint. My Zerk fitting is a 10 millimeter and it has a 90-degree on it. And make sure you put it with the greasable fitting aiming away from the tire towards the center of the vehicle. That way you can actually grease it without pulling the wheels. Grab a grease gun, make sure you clean the tip of your gun so you're not going to push any dirt into our new joint. And pump it up till you just start to see the boot flex a little bit. There you go. Now, if you bought a tie rod that doesn't have a greasable, if you bought a non-greasable tie rod, that's fine, they do exist. The greasable ones tend to last a bit longer. There you have it, guys. That's how you replace your outer tie rod on a Hyundai Veloster. Pretty straightforward. Again, it's normal practice in a vehicle for wheel alignment, even though we got it super, super close. The tiniest little variants can wear your tires. Sometimes there's variances between parts. But there you go, that's the information. Torque your wheels, 80 foot-pounds. There will be a sheet somewhere in this video with all the torque specs. And thanks for checking out the video. Shoot me a thumbs up if you found this helpful. Have a good day, guys.